for literally like something I did not do. Like it's and it goes back to like people just like attacking Jake Paul and like wanting to see me fail.
It hurts so bad. I'm in the hospital right now. I can't even close my mouth. I keep crying, bro.
When Jake Paul got completely wiped out by the World Boxing Association, that became the precise instant when harsh reality demolished his entire fantasy world. In the span of 14 days, this fighter who seriously believed he was constructing a legitimate championship path watched everything collapse spectacularly before millions of witnesses. This tells the complete story of how a single evening obliterated his aspirations, broke his body, and transformed his destiny permanently.
6, 7, 8, no.
December 19th, 2025 brought an atmosphere unlike any ordinary fight night. The Kaseya Center in Miami was buzzing with raw electricity as media personalities, enormous publicity, and countless viewers worldwide tuned in, all questioning whether Jake Paul's boxing career had any real substance. Jake entered the venue moving like someone who genuinely evolved past his social media beginnings. Across from him stood Anthony Joshua, solid as granite and completely unaffected by the surrounding spectacle. That contrast should have served as the initial red flag. From the moment that first bell rang, everything began unraveling. Jake couldn't control the pace or establish his preferred tempo, and everyone could literally watch his confidence evaporating through his movements. Joshua operated with methodical precision, stalking his prey as though he possessed unlimited time to finish the job. Every person in that building could feel the tide turning towards something catastrophic.
At the moment, not that much is going to happen. And it almost... Oh, there's a left hook.
Breaking down those fight statistics reveals the complete picture of what actually happened. Joshua landed 48 clean shots from 54 total attempts, achieving approximately 33% connection rate, while Jake only managed 16 successful punches out of 56 thrown, connecting at roughly 29%. In professional boxing, these figures paint a portrait of total control versus desperate defense. One man was systematically dismantling his opponent while the other was simply hoping to hear the final bell.
Thought I would win against Anthony, but here I am with a broken jaw, learning the hard way. I'll heal. I'll be back.
Jake spent the entire fight backing up, covering his head in pure survival mode, burning through his energy reserves. With every brutal exchange, he'd surrendered control of ring center and completely discarded his initial strategy. At some point during those punishing rounds, his mindset changed from pursuing victory to merely lasting until the clock expired. That transformation marked the moment his carefully constructed image shattered on international television. The sixth round brought absolute carnage with it. The initial knockdown sent Den waves through the venue and destroyed Jake's mental state. The second fall triggered sheer terror, and the third delivered total annihilation. Joshua's finishing right cross sent Jake tumbling hard to the canvas. The official instantly intervened and halted the beating. The thunderous noise from the crowd suddenly turned to eerie silence as everyone processed witnessing something irreversible. That single instant didn't merely end the contest, it killed a version of Jake Paul permanently.
Boxing is not a game. Fighting is not something you pick up and mess around with, right? If you're a fighter, if you're a boxer, if you're a mixed martial artist, right, you have to take this seriously and you have to respect the game.
The cameras then captured that disturbing grin. While most observers saw it as bravery or good sportsmanship, the actual truth was far more unsettling. Jake's jaw had fractured in multiple locations, and that smile was hiding unimaginable physical agony. Inside the medical facility, the complete extent of his injuries became shockingly apparent.
Smile. Smile.
The medical team rapidly confirmed the multiple breaks and immediately began preparing him for emergency surgical intervention. Doctors needed to insert titanium plates to rebuild his destroyed jaw. His capacity to consume solid meals vanished. Talking became incredibly painful, and rest transformed into an ongoing battle during his rehabilitation. At this point, discussions had moved well beyond boxing.
Rebuilding a destroyed face.
Look, that guy did great for someone who's been boxing for like less than a decade. He has had no real
Throughout his career, Jake had never encountered true elite competition except for his match against Tommy Fury. This represented his first knockout loss and second professional defeat total. His official record currently displayed 12 victories against 2 defeats with 7 knockouts. Though these statistics might appear respectable initially, the mental and emotional wreckage went far deeper. His confidence, his relentless forward progress, and his title dreams all sustained irreparable harm.
It's showing his lower jaw, that's his mandible, and yes, it looks like it's broken in 2 places, and it's circled in these red circles. You can see this is his jaw. This is supposed to be sort of 2 continuous lines.
The true catastrophe struck just
12 days following the fight, December 31, 2025, the World Boxing Association released their updated rankings. Jake Paul had been completely erased from the cruiserweight division standings. The identical fighter who'd reached number 14 in July after defeating Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. now found himself entirely excluded from recognition. Those rankings meant everything for Jake's credibility. They provided his proof that he'd secured his position in the sport, his route toward authentic championship chances. Losing that recognition wasn't merely a brief obstacle, it represented total elimination from significance. When you're completely unranked in professional boxing, you sacrifice all leverage, guaranteed chances, and respect within the industry.
At the moment, not that much is going to happen. And it almost... Oh, there's a left hook.
This complete disaster played out over merely 16 devastating days. December 19th shattered his physical form. December 31st eliminated his professional reputation. The identical sport that had previously welcomed his fame suddenly became hostile, and January was preparing to deliver an even crueler wake-up call.
It happened in the 6th round, and it happened in a 22-foot ring. A typical ring is 20 foot. This one was 22 foot because he wanted a bigger room to operate, a bigger space, a bigger ring.
January 4th, 2026 brought the Florida Athletic Commission's crushing declaration of Jake's indefinite medical suspension. The extent of his jaw damage was too severe, and medical experts couldn't offer any schedule for possible reinstatement. Indefinite suspension means your future lies completely beyond your influence. It means your whole career now depends on mending bones, surgical implants, and medical authorization. Within just 14 days, Jake Paul's journey from serious contender to medically suspended, unranked fighter reached completion. Titanium hardware was supporting his facial structure, his championship aspirations were barely surviving, and his title opportunities had totally disappeared. Boxing demonstrated zero compassion and provided no safety net. The sport simply moved forward without him, and that rejection stings worse than any physical wound.
And look, AJ, he knew what was going to happen before the fight even took place. That's why he was so calm. And that's probably why in the first few rounds when Jake Paul's buzzing around like a fucking little bee, this is going to slow down.
When January 4th, 2026 finally came, the boxing establishment had reached its limit. The Florida Athletic Commission stepped in like a harsh parent discovering mayhem after the destruction was complete. Medical experts announced their decision without softening the blow, confirming that Jake's broken jaw created significant and continuing dangers. Without fanfare, Jake Paul received boxing's most frightening penalty, indefinite medical suspension. Indefinite carries enormous significance in this industry. It doesn't mean taking a short break before staging a return, it means medical scans and doctor reports now dictate your professional future.
Next shot at the moment, not that much is going to happen. And it almost... Oh, there's a left hook.
He is stunned. He's not knocked out immediately, but if you look at the displacement of his jaw and the force that was in that punch, that is impressive. Doesn't look very staged to me.
While online arguments about the fight kept intensifying, Jake found himself stuck navigating medical centers and legal paperwork. His rebuilt jaw stayed secured with surgical metal, and the future he'd taken for granted had suddenly stopped moving. Professional boxing doesn't provide compassion or patience for anyone's healing schedule. The suspension sent a direct and ruthless message. Your physical state now controls your career direction.
Never been better.
Yeah, he's absolutely crushing it.
Bring out the vodka.
Yeah, we're doing great.
Reality continued delivering more punishment. Jake's current professional record stayed at 12 wins, 2 losses with 7 knockouts. Numbers that look acceptable until you examine the circumstances of recent developments. That loss marked his first knockout defeat, and nothing changes a fighter standing faster than getting knocked out cold on the sport's largest stage. The second defeat destroyed all the positive energy he built since July, and no publicity campaign could fix that destruction. In July 2025, Jake acted like he controlled the future. By January 2026, he was learning how rapidly dreams can collapse. The championship route he'd assumed was inevitable had disintegrated behind him like a collapsing building. That psychological destruction hurts more than any physical beating because it forces fighters to face a horrible possibility. What if this marks the finish? This was the sport's natural adjustment happening. The WBA's choice sent a direct message to celebrity boxing that professional boundaries exist, and those limits get enforced through violence and consequences. Moving from media star to medical casualty ranks among the most devastating experiences in combat sports. 1 month you're everywhere, smiling, promoting fantasies and pay-per-view spectacles. The next month you're unranked, suspended and waiting for physicians to decide if your body can still fight. Celebrity status gave Jake zero protection, and boxing refused to pause for his healing. In private conversations, rumors became discussions. The Jake Paul experiment had concluded, not through media coverage or guessing, but through a shared realization that spread throughout the business. Boxing had finally shut the door, and reopening it appeared increasingly impossible. So what's left of Jake Paul now? A person living with titanium in his reconstructed face and facing a future full of questions. A career that collapsed in just 16 days, leaving him looking at hospital ceilings instead of championship lights. The mental damage from falling this far after rising so high creates wounds that no training can prepare someone for. The real battle now isn't taking place inside any ring, it's happening inside his head. Should he risk returning knowing his body might betray him again? Should he even try coming back when the establishment has already written him off? Social media confidence makes noise, but boxing truth operates in cold silence. Then comes the loneliness that follows. Media attention stops arriving, the buzz fades away, the world continues turning while you're left alone with your memories and permanent scars. Dropping from celebrity level this rapidly causes permanent damage to a fighter's soul. When you study the timeline, it seems almost unbelievable. December 19th, 2025 witnessed his career end under the bright lights. December 31st, 2025 saw the rankings erase his future options. January 4th, 2026 delivered the suspension that confirmed his doom. 16 days from championship visions to total catastrophe. Professional boxing cares nothing for your personality, your background, or your online presence. This sport only recognizes survival, and even that acknowledgement is fleeting. The legend of Jake Paul as an unstoppable crossover success finally died completely. What remained was surgical metal in his jaw, ruined dreams, and a permanently locked door. No matter how desperately you attempt to force your way back inside, boxing doesn't reopen chances for anybody. Jake Paul's story is over.